2, 1. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to AEW Uncensored. I'm here with my co-host Alan.
Hey, yo, everybody.
Uh, First off, just want to send our condolences to Shad Gaspard's family and Hana Kimura's family. Sad loss this week for the wrestling community. I just want to, send our best to them and their families in the tough time that they're having.
Yeah, it's been a bad week. Shad
Hmm.
Gaspard, of course, he passed away after the beaches reopened. He got washed away, but not before he asked that his son be saved, which thankfully did take place. But it was a horrible, horrible accident. Um, with Hana Kimura, it's just, disgusting internet keyboard warrior trolling. uh, People just don't think about what they're saying when they're online and what kind of effect it can have on others. And this is unfortunately a terrible example of that. So, uh, Godspeed to her. It's a horrible loss.
Yeah, very sad, very sad. Um, I don't know, man. It's people need to try to do a little bit better. So let's get into some not so sad news. Uh, Guess we could start off. The pay-per-view was last night. We have the go-home show to kind of discuss a little bit, so we could start there. Last week's show from Wednesday Night Dynamite. Um, what do you want? You want? We'll just go off the top. We'll run down. I mean, the beginning was Brody Lee, his promo at the beginning. Just a standard promo. I didn't think it was anything mind blowing. It wasn't bad either. And of course they had the match Moxley and 10. Uh, Pretty much just kind of just set up the match, obviously for the pay per view. Again, nothing special. I thought 10 would have done a little bit more, especially since he seemed like he was going to be a little bit more of a. He wasn't just. He's a number, but he wasn't going to be necessarily a number type of character that just gets squashed. He pretty much got squashed, and you know.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised by it. I mean, obviously, yeah, you got to have Moxley win. You got him looking, at his best going into the pay-per-view. But I also was surprised that there wasn't more of a fight put up by 10. Um, but the match did what it needed to do. It set everything up, and I was a little surprised by the placement of where it was, but it did what it needed to do. And then I was pretty shocked at the end, though. I mean, uh, Moxley obviously has that. Well, I'm not going to use lunatic fringe because that's what he was in WWE, but he does have that killer instinct still going on,
That edge,
and
yeah, the little
that
edge to him,
edge. Yeah, and yeah, it was something. I mean, it did make him come into the pay per view looking really really serious, and yeah, I cringed at that chair shot on the arm, man. That was pretty brutal.
Yeah, it was a nice little thing. It kind of set up, Brody Lee is like what he is, just like I don't really care about my minions. I'm the boss here, and so be it. He got hurt. He got hurt. That's his job. You know,
Hmm.
so it wasn't the like you see, it's just meant to get Mox over going into the pay per view. Kind of show
Yeah.
Brody Lee's mentality, which we've seen lately. It was what it was. It was just like, normal thing. I kind of felt if I kind of felt it was a little flat, but not bad. It was just a little flat in my eyes. And like you said, the positioning, I was shocked that the some world title happenings, storyline, right to open the show. But I get it. It's a big thing, so kind of keeps your attention. Oh, it's the world title. Let's talk
Yeah.
about. So yeah, we can move on. This way, I mean, certain things we don't have to spend a ton of time on the show. Uh, we got MJF and Marco. The fucking best spot was where Shivani calls MJF a jerk ass.
Yeah.
It's definitely, like a Jericho-esque statement,
And it's a shame because it's the kind of thing where, I mean, obviously there were people in the crowd, they wouldn't have heard it, but if we did have people in the crowd, like that could be a chant that could start jerk ass, jerk ass. It's a
Yeah,
great
yeah.
little, very old school kind of an insult, I guess. But that was pretty funny.
I'm wondering how many people will remember a lot of these things and use them once live crowds come back,
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Uh,
go ahead.
Say, also a pretty decent match again. I mean, anything that MJF has been to me so far, very entertaining. I really liked how everything got set up. The fact that he actually, congratulated Marco and he said, "Oh, you deserve a little bit of a present," and it's funny. He's really he's becoming like that kind of like a next generational heel, who's really been doing well. So I've been pretty happy with him.
Yeah, I like the whole whose child is this, and then he's got him wrapped up and he's making him smack himself. I
Yeah,
remember doing that to my brother when we were kids. You know what I'm saying? I was like almost 4 years older than him, so it's like you tie him up and you just start making him hit himself in the face, and I got a kick out of that.
yep,
It was funny, and
yep.
I don't know if you noticed as they were walking out, Wardlow almost fucking busted his ass.
Oh yes, yes. I was gonna say, yeah. it's
Yeah.
gonna be a bunch of me probably, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember if the stairs were kind of moved out of the way during that match. They might have used them, um, but yeah, he almost busted his. He almost fell straight down. I got a kick out of
Yeah.
that. So the Jake and Arn sit down. What I wrote in my notes was totally not needed, but totally needed, if that makes sense. You know?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's two guys who've been doing this for a very long time who work really, really well together, despite the fact that they don't really have a lot of history together. And I have been pulling them in to enhance, I guess, this feud with Cody and Lance Archer. I mean, they probably aren't needed for that. I mean, have enough on their own to be able to fuel their feud and fuel the match. But I do really much enjoy. I always enjoy anything that harkens back to the old era and the old ways, and getting some of these old school guys in the ring. And yeah, I think they did a very good job. I think anytime you get the two together, I don't think it was necessarily building you something like I don't think you're going to have an Arn Anderson Jake Roberts match, but you don't even really
It's
need it. This was
it's funny you
enough.
say that because I kind of noted that too. Is there like a quick match in their future? Because they kept talking about Spine Buster and DDT, and
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean both of them I think are almost past. They're out to pasture in my opinion in terms of in ring. Sure you could have Jake do a DDT, or sure you could have Arn Anderson hit a Spine Buster or a DDT, which he's done recently, but. I don't know about maybe doing like even a 5-minute match, and it still might be too much for them guys. But I thought that there were times in that segment that were fun and really well done. But again, it's like, do we really need it? It's enjoyable, but do we really need it? Type of deal.
yeah. It was window dressing,
Yeah,
but it did what it needed to do. It enhanced what the actual main event needed to be
yeah,
for the purposes of the feud. So
yeah. The Darby video, awesome as always. Just he keeps doing some good stuff. He doesn't even have to talk to and he's doing stuff that gets him over. So I really enjoyed the video. Well shot. All
yeah,
this stuff he's been doing. I forget I forget who he works with. I think it's just him and his friends and stuff. And but they're always coming up strong with those videos. Um, we got to see a guy we haven't seen in a while as well. Right after that was Pac. You know,
yes.
I keep meaning to mention this, but the green screen shit, I'm like, just stop. Green screen is fucking cheesy. It's goofy. It's
Yeah.
but it actually looks solid for his promo.
No, it looked good, but I agree with you. I think it's cheesy in an environment that already is feeling cheesy without fans. At the end of the
Yeah,
day, wrestling and it feels more hokey to begin with. That kind of added an additional element of hokiness that wasn't necessary. But no, it looked good. It's a matter of, is it really necessary? Because it almost takes you out of it. I think it kind of like having it there takes you out of it.
It looks cheap. It looks fake.
Yeah.
And I thought MJF's was a little worse. Him standing in front of the mansion, it wasn't awful, but you could tell, him sitting in that room with the throne, that was worse. Of course, Cody in the control room talking to Dustin or whatever he was doing a bunch of weeks back. And I think the Pac video looked all right. I mean, it didn't look too bad. It looked a little more realistic, but it was just good to hear from him, man.
It was.
He's always a good heel promo.
Yeah.
So what do you got? What do you got next?
Orange Cassidy and we're going to talk about this more, I think, certainly for the pay-per-view. He's a national treasure. He is actually fast becoming my favorite performer for AEW.
Cornette is sending you something in the mail. I won't say it. I don't want to get us kicked off of YouTube, but think I don't even want to allude to it. It's a shame that we have to dance around jokes.
No, I know. I get it. But no, he's great. I mean, I enjoyed the match with Rey Fenix. I just like everything that he's bringing to the table at the moment. I love the way, when Phoenix attempted an ambush and Orange just steps out of the way. He just walks away. Everything's blasé. Everything's like he doesn't give a shit. He's great. And again, I do it for the pay-per-view, but yeah, he is actually fast becoming and it's funny that I'm saying that too, because I am very, old school where, well, I want to be able to take the performer seriously for sure when it comes to anything with wrestling, but he is actually overall AEW environment.
My thing is, I agree. Like, I'm the same way. I prefer things a little more grounded, a little more realistic. But there's room for an Orange Cassidy. My problem is wrestling today has too many Orange Cassidys in one show. I think maybe that's where the problem is. Not necessarily even Orange Cassidy's, but a little too much of the hokey shit. The match was fun, well done. Obviously, both guys are professionals. The end was a little too much. I get where they were going. They want to promote the ladder match, but coming out of that, Phoenix ends up injured and out of the ladder match. So, I'll tell you what, the way he floated in the air, like he came out short, but he was just floating straight up. And I mean, I know it's a short amount of time, but you would think that a couple guys would have got their bearings enough to get under him a little bit. I mean, he hit super hard, man, super hard. I was like, God damn.
And he wasn't really going that fast for like it did feel like
he floated up there for a second.
Yeah, it did feel like there would have been enough time for guys to get their bearings to be able to catch him. But that's the business. That's how it goes. It happens all too often, unfortunately.
Yeah. The Cassidy went for a dive or whatever he did, and he overshot. And he smashed his ankle on the guardrail, and I mean, you're risking injuries to be a spot fest, and it's like, I don't want to be that guy that harps on spot fest and shit, because like I've said in the past, WCW, the luchas and shit got me really interested in a style, but I think it's almost, you need to slow it down sometimes and not be, it's like we were talking about last week. Don't start at this level. Don't start at the higher level. Work from the bottom, build to the top. You don't have to go from the top 100 miles an hour and then, everything in between.
Because unfortunately, if you do that and then you don't stay at that speed, then it looks dull. And there's the problem here. They're not really finding much medium ground. It is becoming very spot festy and very just, let's just do these crazy looking, maneuvers, and then whatever happens. And unfortunately, people are getting hurt 2 people got hurt in the show. I mean, it's like, what the hell?
Right.
And
Well,
these injuries.
apparently three people, but
Oh, that's right.
we'll
That's
get
right. 3
into that.
people.
We'll get
But
into
yeah,
that.
but like the injuries, for you to have injuries on a go home show, there's something needs to be thought given to. I mean, obviously every week, they're risking themselves when they're going out there, but particularly for a go home show, they left nothing really in the tank in some regards. So it's
Right,
unfortunate.
100%. And I don't know, like I don't agree with WWF's or WWE style or whatever where they you can only do these moves that and it's got to be this way. That's what I hear. I don't know. I from what everything I hear, that's legit. Um, I don't agree with that. I don't agree, but it's almost like you got to talk to these guys and say, "We get it. We're gonna let you do whatever moves you want. We're not banning any moves, but how about we stop overdoing them and we pick our
Yeah.
spots and we just do, we do when they're really needed." And I felt like that's one of the problems. The ladder matches, they literally had to have every single participant come out to do something at the end of that match, and it's like you don't really need to. I get you want to build a match, but it's a ladder match. It builds itself. If you want to have one or two guys come out, you want it to have um what's his name come out, Darby come out. Cool, Darby's a big name. You want him out, you bring him out. You maybe bring out another wrestler, but you don't have to bring out all 8 or 9 guys to kind of push that match. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You talk about it, you bring it up, somebody comes out, maybe Kip comes out, and you leave it at that. But it was just too many people, too much going on, and we see the result. Phoenix got injured, and
Exactly.
just doing too much. Anything else on that you want to say, or
No,
we could
no.
transition up?
That's pretty much it. I mean, it was fun to see, but yeah, it was really a shame that he got hurt.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully it's not bad. I mean, they said it's not bad, so. So here we can go right into the next situation. Sheeta and Statlander versus Britt and Nyla. I mean, again, uh, the the women need work, man. I mean, just beating a dead horse. Um, Statlander went for the hot tag and does like a like she does a rollover, like the brainbuster kick to and completely missed Baker. So it was like that was her way to get out of like get Baker holding on to her to go make the hot tag, and it's kind of like you completely miss it, and then Baker sells it like she got hit, and it's just like just weak selling. Statlander seems to miss a lot of little kicks and shit.
Yeah, she's still really a work in progress. I mean, they all, well, not all of them, but Britt Baker and Chris Statlander certainly are works in progress for the most part. But yeah, that kind of looked really bad.
I got a lot of notes on this one. What, you got anything while I'm digging through here?
I mean, the biggest thing about the match, unfortunately, that stood out the most is Baker getting hurt.
Yeah.
And it's like it wasn't necessary. I mean, again, no injuries were ever really necessary, but this is something that I feel like it could have been avoided if there was just more care involved. And it really, unfortunately, when injuries like that happen, it truly does highlight the greenness of the participants for the most part.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily say it is a freak accident, but it's an accident that you see in your rearview mirror. We're like, well, I feel like 2-3 steps back, this probably could have been avoided.
Yeah, I'm almost like, why do you need to suplex Nyla into a 105 or 10-pound female? And then Britt had her knee up for whatever reason. Which didn't help. I mean, it definitely torqued the knee pretty good. I was like, at first I didn't even catch it. And then Nyla drags Britt back to the corner. And then just like between the ropes tags her, like slaps her on the back. And I was kind of aggravated by it. I'm like, come on, man. Like, can we not just do a normal tag over the top rope? I get you dragging her over there, but make her reach up. But then she was injured, but still, it's almost like a lot of people get injured. They They run the match as far as they can. You know, it's almost like just a reach up to tag wouldn't have hurt her, wouldn't have hurt the situation. So it kind of looked, you know, but I understand why she kind of did the through the rope tag at that point because she was injured. The end of the match, it looked botched to me. They were trying to set up a Canadian destroyer, and Nyla basically just fell backwards, and Sheeta didn't get the, you know, she just kind of basically landed right on top of Sheeta.
Yeah.
It looked like that was going for the, for the. I don't know if that was the end. I'm trying to remember, but I wrote the end of the match, so probably towards the end of the match. Let's see. Nyla's forearm shots on Sheeta. They were super weak looking, man. I mean, if you're the native beast. You're big. You're way bigger than these women, and you're hitting like a pillow.
Yeah.
You gotta lay it in. I get you don't want to hurt people, but certain things you kind of gotta lay it in. You gotta make it look believable.
And then again, goes to the inexperience that you have a simple act like that of where, okay, well, make it look good, and for just a basic shot like that versus overdoing it and then people get hurt. It's like they're not finding a happy medium at the moment.
Yeah, it's for me. It's just like, when Sheeta's striking you and she looks stronger than you, and you're the big, native beast. For me, it's a little disappointing that she came off looking kind of not so sharp there.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't a good display to lead into the match on the pay-per-view. Though I did it, and we'll talk about it. I actually did very much enjoy the match of the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
I thought they certainly made up for a lot of the miscues and such that happened here.
Most definitely.
But again, it's a shame of what the result of this was. I mean, I know people give Britt Baker a lot of shit, but she is still fun to have around, and hopefully she'll at least be able to take a role. Maybe she'll still be talking shit. She'll still be around doing whatever. Just won't
for
be able
sure.
to get to the ring for a bit. So we'll have that. I think there was originally a fear that she might have toward her ACL, and it doesn't sound like that's the case, hopefully. So, which is great, because if she did, you're talking a shitload of time at that point of being out, and it sounds like hopefully that was not the case.
Yeah, she was. They were talking about Wednesday. She's going to come on and discuss it, so we'll see. What was next? Hardy, Sammy. What do you got?
I really, really like Sammy Guevara. I mean, he's another guy who he might at the moment be becoming my number 2 as far as just enjoying what he does as a performer.
Yep.
And I very good match. I mean, Hardy, pretty simple, wins with a twist of fate. But again, we'll talk about this, but I thought Sammy Guevara was one of the MVPs of the Stadium Stampede match. And, he was great running from the golf cart, and just he's becoming almost like a cartoon character that is just really enjoyable to watch. So, yeah, basic match. I enjoyed it. The fact that, it was a nice little piece that led into, the go home piece, leading into the end. But yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, I agree. It was a solid match, and I loved how Sammy countered the twist of fate. I thought it was awesome. It looked really solid. The match just in general was solid. The funny part was when Matt took off Sammy's shoe, his boot, and he bit his. He goes, Jim Ross is like, the metatarsal has been munched on. And fucking guys, he cracks me up. The brawl at the end, too long, too much.
Yeah, it was too long. It was a little. They were really trying to oversell it a little bit. I think it wasn't necessary. I mean, yes, you want a brawl. Yes, you do want something.
2-3 minutes would have been good. They went about 4. They went about 4 or 5.
Yeah.
The 50-yard lariat, love it. That's what I'm naming it. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. That's the 50-yard lariat from here out. That was pretty fun. And Kenny's shorts were fucking awful. Awful, Kenny. Kenny, get new shorts. I love you, bro, but
Yeah,
good
I
lord.
sometimes like his attire in general. Sometimes I just don't really get, but yeah, this night specifically, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that was pretty brutal. Apparently Matt Jackson hurt himself. I don't know if it was
Right,
during that brawl or what.
right. So yeah, I don't remember any kind of an event where you walk away from it saying, okay, there were 3 injuries.
3 injuries too many, man.
Yeah. So
Yeah, it's kind of messed up, but hopefully they just look at this, they go back and they go, all right, we got to do things a little different. I mean, injuries happen, but to have three separate injuries on your go home show right before the pay per view is a little too much.
yeah. And they're still getting their feet wet with go home shows. How many have they really had since their inception? Not that many. So
Right.
maybe they're walking in thinking, oh, it's the go home show. We've got to put in like extra effort. It's like, well, no, put in the normal effort you normally do. Just be entertaining. Tell the story you need to tell. There's no reason to feel like because it's a go home show, you need to up the ante. And yeah, I may just be speculating here, but I feel like the fact that there were 3 different injuries here, that it may feel like that is the case. They felt like, oh, it's the go home show. Oh, we got to sell this pay per view. Let's put our pedal on gas, but even more. And it's like, well, why? You don't really need to do it.
Yeah.
So they could have sold the story and gotten people interested in getting into the pay per view without having 3 people get hurt. So anyway, yeah.
100%. 100%. I guess that was Wednesday's show.
Yep.
So we have the pay per view. You want to start with the buy-in?
The buy-in. Sorry, I had something. They get froze here a little bit. The buy-in was entertaining. Um, I almost feel like I don't know the whole the pre the pre-event shows. I kind of feel like this was an entertaining enough match that I would have liked to see this on the main card. You know what I mean?
I disagree.
Do you?
Yeah.
I don't know. I liked it enough that I felt like it could have been, and yeah, it was the opening technically to the event, but I would have liked it to see it maybe as the opening on the actual event itself.
Um, for me, I felt like it just felt sloppy again by both teams. Like that kip up spot with Cassidy.
Mm-hmm.
Like the I forget who was in the ring with him. It might have been either way. I think it might have been Chucky T, but the 12 whatever amount of kip ups it was in one shot. It was just like at that point you're just dancing. You're not really doing anything feasible for me to really give a shit about. Another thing is I try to give Chuck Taylor like the benefit of the doubt. A lot of people rip him. Even Ross rips him his physique. It doesn't bother me. I'm like I've seen wrestlers that look like that. But and I feel like when I watch him, he's a good wrestler, but he's got super lazy tendencies, and I don't know what it is, but he's a very lazy seller. He's a very obvious waiter, like if that makes sense. Like he waits to do things, or if he gets hit and he's supposed like he'll get hit and he'll just kind of like do like a little lean down and like staring, and I'm just like you don't even look like you're part of the match. You just look like you got hit and you just kind of like sunk in a little bit. Like you're not really conveying to me that you got hit, which is the whole point of professional wrestling, to make it
Yeah.
look like you're getting hit. The one spot I saw was he came from the outside, he walked up the apron and he stops and then he takes the boot to the face and he barely moves. He doesn't even really sell it. That was the one spot that I had noted here. And then again, sloppy. Every time they try to be too cute with stuff, it's just sloppy. It's just again, stop going here,
Yeah.
start here, do here, come back. Don't just stop. Stupid silly string shit. It's like um,
I mean, maybe unfortunately I'm getting so used to it that I'm not even noticing that this is happening. I'm just like, oh no, this is entertaining.
Here's the thing. Listen, we do the show, so we have to kind of look at all the perspectives. I'm not going to be the guy that's like, I didn't think that you know made sense because of this. Like I've heard people literally drill down the smallest thing. For me, I'm just drilling down the action and how it's being handled in the ring and stuff. And obviously people are going to miss stuff, but when it's all the time and it's kind of more obvious, it's you got to call it, and this is AEW Uncensored for a reason. I love AEW. I support it. I don't care. Obviously, I don't care. You know, shit's not perfect. Because that's not reality in wrestling. No matter what company, not every 52-week show is gonna be perfect, and not every pay-per-view is gonna be perfect. But I mean, we got to talk about the shit that we see that we don't like, as well as the stuff we like. So,
Sure.
you know, um,
I like the closing sequences quite a bit. I love the fact that Private Party they hit the Crime Time finisher. That was really cool. On Trent, and then you get the shooting star press, and then you got the pile driver. I like the closing sequence quite a bit, actually, as far as how it ended up. So um, maybe I'm looking at it a little bit through rose-colored glasses.
no,
That
it's good. It's good that we got different opinions on it. I mean,
yeah,
I'm sure you maybe see some of what I said, and I see some of what you said. I mean, I think it was when when uh, Trent lost his bandana was funny.
yes,
Jim Ross is probably in the back. So. But I just thought it was kind of a blah match. I thought it wasn't very cleanly wrestled. And too much when you didn't need it, type of deal.
yeah.
So.
And best friends winning is kind of I think we knew it was going to go that way. It makes sense.
Yeah. So next would be the main show, the ladder match.
Yeah.
Hit it.
I liked it a lot. I know last week I picked Darby Allin to win. I thought that he was definitely going to be the best person to
Same here.
thrust forward to actually take that spot. But then of course you have the mystery man comes in. It ends up being Brian Cage, and it's kind of yeah. I don't think you're really going to have to be. You're going to be able to have a big reveal like this, and then he's not going to take it away. So
right. Once he came in, I was like, he's winning this shit,
Yeah, and it was great too because I thought for a minute it was going to be Taz. Like it really did.
I know. I was like,
oh,
here's the way.
Oh shit, really? It's like
I said, oh shit. I said, we were just talking about Taz last week, and I was like, I told you he's gonna be heel. He ended up doing it. He's turning the heel for however he's turning it. But I saw that they were that was my mindset when I saw him doing that thing with Darby. And of course, that's the way they're going. He's going heel. I know we got ahead of ourselves, but a couple notes, like because I kind of took notes as the match went. They had the pre-match promos. I felt they were all really well done by everybody. Havoc and Kip, Joey, Janela. I can't remember who else, but Christopher Daniels. So they all did great promos. They all felt natural. And I love Jimmy Havoc's suit and tie.
Yeah.
That shit was on point.
Yeah, that looked really, really good.
Yeah. He needs to come out with that. That's what he needs in wrestling because his ring attire is fucking garbage.
Yep. And I gotta say, I like the format quite a bit too. It was not just a general ladder match. I kind of like the way it pulled in elements of like the old, Royal Rumbles, Elimination Chamber. You got the 2-minute countdown, and every time you wonder who's going to be coming in next. I guess in this case it was more like an Elimination Chamber than Royal Rumble because you knew who the people were except for the mystery guy. So it wasn't like you were going to be surprised as who's coming in as far as when they were coming in.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was very good pace, very good clip. Again, I mentioned a little bit earlier. For me, the main event of this entire match is Orange Cassidy. Him coming out, not knowing the fucking rules.
Yeah,
he's
that
like,
was funny.
So what exactly do I have to do? And he just walks in and he takes up his entire allotment of time just trying to set shit up.
Like I said, that was funny too. That they were in the promos early, and it was funny their little interaction in their promos pre-match. Best friends and Orange Cassidy. But again, Orange Cassidy, that's plenty of that goof,
Mm-hmm.
and I dig it, but it's like when you have 6 different goof spots throughout the show, it's almost like too much. The end we'll talk about, I could kind of deal with that because of
Sure.
how like crazy that match was. But um, yeah, he just like kind of sidesteps and ducks, and then he's like fucking whatever. He doesn't even try to set the ladder up right. Um, the beginning kind of like so cliche to have the 2 tag team partners start against each other.
Yeah, they could have been a little more colorful, I guess, as far as who they would actually start off.
I
But
mean, do we have to do the typical? It's everybody. They've done that for fucking decades now.
exactly, exactly.
So it's yeah, kind of could have did some a little better. But like we were talking, I have Orange Cassidy intro was great, totally great. He walks up to what do I do? He's
Yeah,
asking.
he's asking
Tony
what the
told
rules are.
yeah, Tony told you like 250 times
Right.
already, man. So that was fun. Then then of course Cage, the debut of Cage was really good, really good. He came in, wrecked shop,
Yeah.
took them all. I like how they buried him under everything, and um, the choke slam again, like too much goof. I think Orange Cassidy goof was enough in this match, but then they do the choke slam spot. It was funny to me, like don't get me wrong, but it wasn't needed.
Yep, that's true. If you didn't have the Orange Cassidy goof, then this would have felt like it was going to stand out a little bit more than it did. Right. It is a little bit too much
You don't
comedy.
need that much goof. You don't need that much goof in it. It's like, and Marco Stunt comes in. You give him a little ladder. He climbs to the top. It's like, all right, man. Funny. I felt it was funny, but I'm gonna call it out.
Yeah.
Like I I didn't hate it, but I also have to call it out for what it is. It's just too much goof.
Yeah.
What else you got from that match? Let's go. Let's hear what you got because I got a whole list here.
I love the I love the way they were all grabbing the giant poker chip and putting it on top of Cage to try to hold him down.
And they sold it like it was super heavy.
Exactly.
And they did a good job doing it.
They did a really good job with it. I really enjoyed the yeah, I gotta tell you, it's so funny. I look at this stuff now. Well, you and I are both toy collectors. And so I looked at this whole thing. I'm like, this would be a great like toy set. I'd like to have like that little big
double or nothing.
Hands, like a little double or nothing set.
Yeah, double or nothing like ring entrance and shit.
Yeah.
It'll happen.
And the coast to coast from Kip to Colt with the ladder, that was great.
I was like, I felt like he was gonna come up a little short.
I thought so too. Every time I see a coast to coast, I always feel like it's whoever's doing it, it's gonna come up a little bit short.
But the ladder kind of was there, so it worked.
Exactly.
It was further out. I didn't, as I was watching, I didn't realize the ladder was that much further out. So.
Yep. And I mean, again, Marco Stunt coming out with the small ladder, helping the choke slam. I liked it was a little, Kaz had that botch a little bit.
That's what I was gonna bring up next, actually.
Yeah. That was a little scary.
He came off the top of that ladder for the Hurricane Rana, and he got no tuck. It was almost like Penelope Ford on Chris Statlander, probably like 2 or 3 weeks back. She went to do the Hurricane Rana, or was it? I don't. It was on somebody. She went to do it, and they didn't catch her. I think it was Chris Statlander, and her legs. She just went to do the roll, but usually it's like the momentum thing, and she didn't tuck, and she just landed, and Kaz just landed. He didn't tuck, and he didn't tuck enough, and Luchasaurus didn't roll.
Yep.
And he just landed, boom, just almost as bad as Phoenix, if not as bad as Phoenix. It just was in the ring itself. That was pretty. That was pretty tough, man.
It was painful. Yeah.
Because he was up there. I mean, that ladder was what, at least 15 feet?
I think it was about a 15-foot ladder.
That was a big ladder, man.
Yeah.
It's funny because I put one of those ladders up in my mom's yard one day to try to climb up the side of the tree. Bro, I got like 2 rungs. I was like, I'm like, fuck this.
Yeah.
I'm not a heights person.
Oh, me neither. I could not climb a ladder for shit. It's like, same thing. I do 2 or 3 rungs. Forget about it.
I'd be how I talk about, like, I love the high flying shit again, lucha style, whatever, WCW.
Yeah.
I'd be the last great ground grappling wrestler on the planet if I was wrestling today. I'd be sure I was every top technical wrestler ever invented all in one. Joking, obviously, but the Death Valley Driver that Janela hit was fucking sick, right on top of the Brian Cage
Yeah,
under the chip,
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it was
it,
great. They really made Cage look like a star. I mean, they made him look like a
definitely.
million bucks. And
And those
they're
those
not wasting.
ladders were solid, bro.
Yeah, I was gonna say those ladders. I mean,
Reinforced like a motherfucker.
yeah, I think they look even more solid than the WWE ladders do. Like the WWE ladders, I think used to look like this, where they looked like they were really like these painful, steel ladders, and now I think they're a little more. I don't know, if gentle is the right word, but yeah, these are very old school, hard looking ladders.
Yeah, they were solid. They might have reinforced a lot of those.
Yeah,
Because I guess that when you're using them throughout the match and you're just tossing them around, they I'm sure they have a tendency to break and bend and shit, and they guess they don't want to risk the chance of it falling apart, and they don't have one to go up.
right.
Um, uh, and then when he tossed Darby, he had him on that and he tossed him. I was like, oh shit! But
Yeah,
it looks like when he hit the floor, the ladder and him kind of hit at the same time, right
yeah.
where his head was, and it looked like that fucking metal just banged him right in the side of the head.
I was a little worried about that actually because I thought when I saw that I'm like thinking, oh fuck, I hope he doesn't get a concussion from that because that was not good looking at all.
Yeah, it was a cool setup, and it was a great spot, but I was
Yeah,
like, and it wouldn't have been so bad, but they literally like crashed on the floor, the head and the ladder at the same time, and they were right next to each other. It's hard to tell, but it kind of looked like it just fucking bang, just like at the same time, just collided with each other.
yep.
On the hard concrete, so there's no give there.
There's no, yeah,
Um,
exactly,
yeah.
exactly.
Um, uh, I like that Cage won it. I like the surprise, and the title chase. Apparently, he's going to be wrestling Mox at Fyter Fest for the
Yep,
title.
that's right.
So,
That's right. I think they're still trying to figure out where that's going to take place. It's not going to take place in the UK most likely now. So they got to figure out where it's going to be. But yeah, so it's like they're not wasting much time. They're really not. They're just
no, no.
that's it. He's thrown to the title picture now. Then that's that. But yeah,
Yeah,
I enjoyed the format a lot. I hope we see more of these. Actually, this is a lot of fun.
yeah, I feel like I'm satisfied with Brian Cage's introduction into the company because when he first was a free agent, who was he with? Was he with Impact or Ring of
Yes,
Honor?
yes,
Impact.
I believe he was with Impact.
The rumor was he was coming to AEW, and so he had a bicep tear, so he wasn't coming in anytime soon. But I was very happy with the way they introduced him, and I'm glad he did sign with AEW. The dude's a fucking monster.
He is. Yeah, he's
I
great.
don't know much about him, but you can tell he's agile.
Mm-hmm.
He actually can do some shit, and he's a big dude. He's a monster. His ring attire was fucking cool too. I mean, he looked great. I don't know how they're going to incorporate Taz with him.
Yeah, I mean, they have another opportunity here where, again, and this is what I like about what AEW's been doing. They've been having these mentor, like managerial relationships going now, which you don't see a lot in wrestling anymore. But now, Jake is doing it, and now possibly Taz and Arn Anderson. I like the idea of almost like reintroducing that managerial role that you would have back in the old days.
I do too. I just feel it's too much. Here's my thing with Taz. Maybe they just use this for a quick shot where Darby didn't want to listen to me. I tried to explain to him. Now I brought someone in to show him. He needs, you know, sometimes you need some help, or sometimes you need somebody to show you the way. I hope it's just that. I hope he's not constantly with uh, Cage. Um, I just feel like the mentor coach is overdone. Like you said, I agree. I like that it's back, but you don't need every fucking person on your roster has a friend or a coach or like that's another thing. It's like the best friends. It's like you got three guys out there, Luchasaurus, and then it's like you got three guys out there. Wardlow makes perfect sense for MJF. I get the 3-man friendship tags and all that, but does Cage need Taz? No. Does Dustin need Arn? No. So it's like, that type of shit. It's almost like if you want to do it where it makes sense and do it, where it works. But I think they're more using Taz in that sense of like I just mentioned, just hey, I told you should have listened. Now I brought this guy in to fuck you up, and you know, it's just another way to push Taz towards being a heel.
Mm.
So, um, so that's it for the ladder match. I mean, we
Yeah.
go to Jungle Boy and MJF.
Yeah, I mean, not much to say about this one. It was a good match, good series of roll-ups at the end. Um, I don't think I've ever remember seeing something like that before, where you would constantly have these various roll-ups going back and forth. Normally,
I
you will
loved it.
see it, and then they'll both break out of it, and they'll go back out again. But no, this time, no, it really ended with roll, 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 and then oh nope, someone actually got the better. And yeah, MJF, definitely had to win, but he didn't squash Jungle Boy.
Not at
So
all.
I was
I
actually thinking that might happen in this match.
I like the one-upsmanship early on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I like it when it's done well and not overdone. The match was super. It was really good, super clean. It wasn't too much. Even though Jungle Boy flies around a lot, it wasn't too much. Um, I felt they both worked a really solid match. A great match in my opinion. It was clean. It was solid. It wasn't over too much. Just repeating myself now. Let me hit the repeat button one more time. It wasn't too much. No. Um, the one spot that I hate, and I hate this move. Uh, it's the reverse Hurricane Rana. It's like
Oh yeah,
I can't stand it. Number one, it looks like shit. It's danger. It looks dangerous as fuck. I don't get it. I mean, then they do it from the outside, and it looked like MJF like literally cracked his skull on the very edge of the ring, which is the hardest part of the ring.
it did. Yeah,
You know, um, uh, especially doing it outside like that on the apron, and I don't know. I just feel like it's too much room for error. I see people do it off the top rope. I'm just like, come on, man. It's not for me. It's just a dumb move. I never liked the look of it anyway.
yeah.
It's nothing like mind blowing. It's more just like, yeah, somebody's gonna snap their neck eventually. I
It's a
mean,
clumsy looking move, and it's not even really necessary. But yeah, yeah,
yeah. Archer Cody, here we go.
yeah.
Here's my here's my notes before the announcement. I didn't see anything online before this, but okay, I did write it down. Glad they said the title wasn't finished. That thing was ugly. Capital UGLY. You ain't got no alibi. You ugly. Um, no, but that thing looked fucking awful. And during the match, they said it wasn't finished. So I was like, okay, cool. The more I look at it online now, it's a nice base. It's definitely a nice base. I can't wait to see what they add to it. With the gold and stuff. So.
I thought it was a very nice touch that you've got the Ted Turner's like mansion as part of the plating on the belt to
Yes.
harken back
Yes.
to that old TNT thing. I actually like that quite a bit. That was pretty funny. It's like, wow, that's very old school. It's funny to see like somebody's house on a belt. But it's like, well, no, this
Yeah.
is Ted Turner's house. Like, all right, I like that actually.
Yeah. It makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. Um, it's hard to talk about this match without talking about Tyson. And Tyson, unfortunately, at least I felt like he was totally not needed here. And to
Yeah.
see him, you saw that spot where he was yawning. It's like,
The camera caught him. Whoa! They're like, oh shit!
yo, my God, that was awful.
They cut
I
out. Yeah.
I see that being repeated over and over and over again on Botchamania. They're going to try to find some crazy Simpsons clip to mix with that of him yawning, and he just felt like he didn't really do much. He didn't contribute anything to
Right.
the match, and he didn't need to. And that's the thing we were talking about last week too.
What's
It's
up,
like,
Eddie?
hey, what's up, Eddie? Having Cody and Lance, that's enough. You don't really necessarily.
Right.
He didn't really have much of an effect at all. But as far as the match goes itself, really good match. I was saying last week that I thought Lance Archer should win. I felt like Cody should not be seeing any kind of gold again unless it's for the real deal. And but I guess they felt that, well, he was on a losing streak. He was losing a lot. He had to get some kind of winner who's just going to look weak at some point. And there you go.
Yeah, I didn't think he had a win. And I didn't think I'm sorry. I thought Archer should have won. I didn't think he has to win the real gold at all, the world title at all. But again, going back to Tyson, yeah, I agree. It was just kind of like, I, you know who's gonna love this and use it is the WWE marks. These guys that
Oh
like
yeah.
all they do is breathe WWF like it's like the only thing that ever was out there, and like it's the end all be all. But these are some of the people that cry about the WWE for the last decade or two, and now there's something different. They go, all of a sudden they're circling the wagons. Oh, well, I love WWE. So they're gonna use that totally against AEW. Um, I don't know. The cameramen, man, it's like sometimes like pay attention to what's going on.
Yeah.
Don't shoot if you see the dude's he's in the middle of starting to yawn. You know what I'm saying? Um, he didn't, like you said, he didn't do much. Him chasing off Jake was kind of like, eh. I mean, it was
And
all right.
you already had Arn there. If you have Arn there already, what do you need Tyson for? It was like overdoing it because you had Jake on one corner, Arn on the other.
Yeah.
What does Tyson really add in that case?
Well, it was kind of like, well, will he join either side type of deal. That's the suspense
Yeah.
that he gave him. But once they both, and he's a snitch. Tyson's a snitch, man. I
Yeah.
love, I love new Tyson. I was never a Tyson fan when I was growing up. I'm a Holyfield guy, but Tyson was a snitch, bro. Did Arn get involved? He goes, yeah, he did, man. He's fucking like, yeah, he did. You fucking bastard. um, yeah, Eddie said Tyson is a rat. You're damn right, Eddie.
I'll say this though, easiest payday of his entire life.
Yeah, for sure. They just announced he'll be on Wednesday night too. Um, so all right. So my thing was they both guys go back, and then Jake tries to bring out the snake. Tyson gets involved, then takes off the shirt, um, which is like, all right, you got to get Tyson out there showing his ripped cut. He's getting back into training, but he hands a title to like the ref. Like the ref's in the middle of this. Like
Right.
he hands a title to the ref. Dude, you should have just put the title on the ground or on the table or something. And and it was just goofy. And even the end when Cody won, he didn't really get the he really didn't get the Tyson kind of just like handed it to him. It was awkward. It
And he
wasn't
just
really.
left. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
it was
he could have raised his hand. He could have been like, yo,
Yeah.
he could have. Yeah, exactly. It felt to me like he just wanted to get the hell out of there. It's like, he's
Yeah.
like, my day's done. Here, you take the belt by. And yeah, because Cody was turning towards him. It looked like he was trying to, communicate with him.
Right.
And he's just like, nope, out, done.
I'm
bye.
out. I'm out. Yeah, Eddie. I'll agree with you. Archer losing didn't tarnish. It didn't tarnish his image because it was a strong match. It was,
Oh yeah. I don't think
um,
Archer got tarnished at all. I simply didn't agree with Cody winning because I feel like you do want to keep the gold off him until he gets the hit shot, the real one again. But hey, what are you gonna do?
Yeah. I did enjoy that Stinger scream and splash. Cody did.
Yep.
That was a nice little homage to the Stinger. You know me, I'm a biggest Sting mark out there, so
Yep.
that was cool. Yeah, so Cody's the champ. We'll see what happens from here out. We'll see, you know, what the next program does he stay in a program at Archer, and do they battle for the championship, or does Archer move on to something else and Cody kind of goes on to something else? I think Cody. You know what? I got to be honest. Now that I think it, like, just literally just came into my mind. If Cody has a title, has a little run with it, and then decides to put over, say, Darby or Sammy in a match, because remember they did build that whole Darby slapped him shit. So
Yep.
Darby could be the next. Darby could be the next guy going for the title, for that TNT title.
Sure.
So if he pulls the title off of Cody, that strengthens him. You know what I mean? That makes it look a little better because Cody's got that cachet.
Yep.
So whereas Archer's a big guy, maybe because he stands out and he's strong and he's a bully. Excuse me. If Darby wins that way, he still looks strong, but I think it gives a little more prestige beating Cody. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, he'll be fine.
So, anything else on that match?
No, I think that's it.
Penelope Statlander, what do you got?
Statlander 4, here's the thing. It felt you had no story going into this match, and they had no choice. Britt Baker got
Right.
hurt. They had to throw somebody in there. They decided to have it be Penelope Ford. The problem is that it was hard to be very invested in the match because Penelope Ford simply felt like a stand-in. She felt like an understudy in a Broadway show. She just got thrown out there, and there wasn't
She could
much.
wrestle.
She
She could
could.
wrestle, but
Oh
there
yeah,
was
don't
no
get me wrong.
storyline.
She
I get
could.
it.
But it was hard to get behind the story of the match because there really was no story. There was nothing coming into this at all. They're just, well, let's put Penelope in there. So, I think Statlander winning, okay. It was. I wouldn't necessarily have called it a squash match, but it was,
No, it wasn't. I gotta say, solid match. The whole less is more. They did more, but it was like a lot less of that more. You know what I mean? Say that 3 times fast, tongue twister. But it was a clean match. The dive the one thing that stood out on the show on that match was Statlander's dive out on Kip and Penelope. My God, dude, she fucking barreled Penelope.
Yeah.
Penelope, like the refs were all on top of her, like, "Are you okay?" And she was like holding Penelope, like, "Are you okay?" And she came at her like a missile, bro.
Yeah.
Bang! Just speaking of refs, I mean, I've been wanting to say this for a while, but these refs, man, I get now they have the earpiece and they're transitioning. Passing information to the wrestlers, but they're jumping in their face nonstop. They're on. I don't want it's so distracting watching a ref jump in people's face every 5 fucking seconds.
Yeah.
It's annoying. I mean, you got to learn to call a match on your own, and if there's an audible, the refs got to learn to put an audible out there in a way that isn't like down on the floor in the person's face checking like Tony said do XYZ. You know, the ref could say something from 2 feet away and the fans would be none the wiser. You know what I mean? They could be like, listen, whatever, leapfrog, like whatever. Like they don't have to, I don't feel like they need to literally be on top of them every second of the goddamn match. It's kind of annoying. Yeah. Just one thing I got to note since that kind of came up there with that dive. Yeah, like clean match though. Like we were talking about the other day, last week. It was just they did less, and it was a solid match. You know?
And they did well for the fact that there was very little time to plan for this. I mean, there was very little time to really discuss, I guess how they would perform together and such, and it worked out considering. So everything put aside with Britt Baker's injury, I thought that for the fact that this was just done on the fly, it was entertaining, and it was one of the better female matches that they've had, I guess, in AEW.
Yeah, definitely. It was a solid match. We'll go into the Spears thing. I like the promo, cutting a good promo. Like he had him cue up the music, and nah, you thought it was him. I told him to play it, whatever. And of course, Brandy comes out in the secondary. The secondary music hits. He goes, nah, I told you, dummies, don't just once, and then the whole Dustin. It was it was great for what it was. Quick shot. What was that match? Like 5 minutes.
Yeah, I'll be surprised if
maybe the match itself wasn't long.
Yeah, and I thought that Spears was going to win. I was like, well, do you really gain much out of having Dustin Rhodes beat Shawn Spears? I don't know. I guess for the purposes of the story, it worked out nicely for what they wanted to do. But
they could build a program off it, so
they could. I thought that Spears this was stupid. Like Spears having Tully Blanchard on his dick is what the hell?
I know it's another goof thing that they didn't need to do, but
he's like, oh, don't film this, like don't show this. Like, what do you expect? You have it right in the front of your fucking tie to me. What do you think? Was gonna see that?
It was funny when Dustin was spanking him and shit, and JR goes, I think Spears is auditioning for a prison movie.
Yes.
He goes,
that was some nice old school Jim Ross that we don't get enough of anymore.
Yeah. Then when he flubbed, when they were celebrating, and they were saying, "Oh, Brandy's having a good night," and Jim Ross called it the TNA title.
Yes.
And he goes, I'm probably fired now. See you next week. It was like, that was good. That was real good. Some good commentary. It's funny because I'll listen to people's podcasts and shit, and they're talking about commentary. A lot of it I don't hear. It's funny. I've been focusing so much on the in ring that I really don't hear a lot of the commentary.
It's harder to ignore it now because you no longer have the background buzz of the crowd.
Right.
I feel the same way. I try to like block out the commentary, especially when there is a background buzz. But without it, it's hard to ignore it. And Ross is okay. He's getting on there in years, man. He's one of my favorite commentators of all time. But yeah, he flubs more than he doesn't. That's the thing.
Right.
That's the way he's been over the last couple of years. So
yeah. Which is funny considering how long he's been in the business. You tend to be a little more solid, than you were when you were younger. But
yeah.
Either way, it works 95% of the time.
Yeah, and he's entertaining to have there.
Yeah. Then from this match, they went into the build-up for the women's title match. I loved it. I thought it was really well done. We talked about it last week. I love that Sheeta's getting a voice. She's getting the ability to go out there, say shit, speak her mind, and she's not being stifled because she has her English isn't so good. You know what I'm saying? Not even that it's not that good. It's just she's still not fluent in English.
Right.
Fluent in English.
Neither are you. You see, it's like
right. I can't even fucking speak here. It's funny because I have a friend in Brazil that I talk to, and he asked me, what would you use in this scenario? And I go, well, honestly, like I don't speak proper English. I'm like, so it's like if I say it, it's almost like not helping you, man. It's funny. It is funny. So anyway, so then into the match. What do you got? What do you got for the match?
So I liked it.
I got a whole paragraph here.
Again, Shida is definitely the best performer on the entire roster.
No question.
Nyla's probably number 2, so it was a great match for that reason alone. That you actually had.
Whoa. Think she's number 2?
Who would you put ahead of her for the female performers?
Nyla Rose is super green. Performer-wise, I mean, man, I got to be honest. A lot of the women, I really haven't paid too close attention. But what's her name? The Portuguese girl turned French. Eddie, what's her name? You're in the chat, I hope. Eddie's watching with us, but he's Portuguese, so he'll know. What the hell is her name? I think when she first came out, she was Portuguese. Eddie was like, "Oh, there's a Portuguese chick in the wrestling." Excuse me. There's a Portuguese women wrestler, and then like 4 shows later, she's French. So man, I can't remember her name.
The fact that we can't remember and I can't either may say all that we need to know. It's
she's the one that had the little thing with Nyla where Nyla was power bombing her through tables and shit.
Okay. I think I remember who
Shanna. Yes, Shanna. So Shanna, it was a good wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
She was solid. I think Big Swole's pretty good. I think she has a tendency to wait around a little bit.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, don't get me wrong. Nyla Rose is green, but again, in comparison with the other performers, number 2. I don't know. And that's not saying much. I mean, Shida is number 1 by leaps and bounds. Like
right,
you would put all the others here, even maybe the number 2, and then you got Shida. So
yeah.
But in any case,
every good AEW women's match so far has been a Shida match.
Yeah.
Whether it's a 4-way or a tag team or whatever. So
yeah,
you're 100% right.
And you got the weapons in there, worked out pretty well. Nyla tossing her through the table, the floor looked painful. You've got Shida countering the power bomb. You got her own offense in. I liked the kendo stick getting involved. She did really good with that kendo stick.
At the end, she broke it, and
it
looked like she hit her on like the neck or the jawline.
Yeah,
almost. I was like,
she knows what she's doing with that thing, man. And I mean, Rose power bombing her through the table. In the that again, Rose has a lot of power.
Yeah.
I love the Falcon Arrow. She obviously does very, very well with that move. And then and then once she entered at the end with it, I think it's the Avalanche Falcon Arrow. That's like the actual finisher I think that she used. It was good match, good back and forth. Having the weapons involved was really good. and
I
it was entertaining.
I felt, I mean, maybe I'm remembering wrong, but I felt like, Nyla being the native beast, the big woman going in there and being the monster heel. I felt like Sheeta was on the offense most of the time and shown to be the strong one
That's
of
true.
the two. Um, which is interesting because usually it's completely opposite. Usually it's like the babyface gets pummeled. Let's think Vader Sting. Vader Sting feud was one of my favorite feuds as a kid. Vader used to beat the brakes off of Sting, beat the brakes off him. Sting selling, and Sting would come out on top. Not all the time, obviously. They were very good at that, but you get the point though. It's like the babyface gets beat down by the monster heel, and the babyface finds a way to pull out the victory.
Mhm.
So uh, it was interesting that they didn't really play it that way. I felt like they didn't. I felt like Sheeta was pretty strong most of that match, and she deserves it, and she deserves a title.
Absolutely.
And maybe the whole point was to take it off Riho, put it on Nyla, like I had mentioned last week, only to move it over to Sheeta because Sheeta's obviously the proven one out of all of them, and she's living here in the States now, and Riho's not living in the States. Hence, it's tough to have her as the world champion, you know, even though she's good as well, you
Hmm.
know. So that, I mean, we could talk Riho as well. So she's a good wrestler as well in terms of the women.
Yeah.
But I don't know how much of
Yes.
as a everyday AEW wrestler that she is. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because she's in Japan.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to take the belt off Sheet at this point because there really isn't anybody who is better than her who will at least even convincingly be able to beat her at this point. So now, I mean, this is hopefully going to be a very lengthy run until they can figure out somebody else who might be able to give her a run for her money.
Yeah, agree. I think. I mean, what's her name? Isn't she coming up for a contract? Or she's out of contract? The Impact one. What's her name? Tully
Tell,
Blanchard's
oh,
daughter, Tessa.
Tessa Blanchard? Oh man, I don't know if I mean I guess Tessa Blanchard may go to AEW. I know that there's a lot of negative feelings about her in the business in general. So I probably would certainly not see her going to WWE. So if her contract was going to come up and she was going to go anywhere else, then yeah, maybe AEW.
Yeah, I guess we'll find out.
Yeah.
Uh, so where are we at here? We're at
Or the title match.
the title match, co-main, whatever you want to call it, dual main, whatever, however you want to.
Yeah, double main event. Yeah.
Obviously this, I get it. I get why Mox and Brody Lee couldn't be the main event. Especially with with that Stampede match, it's almost like it's going to be hard to top that.
Absolutely.
Thank God Brody Lee got new attire.
Yes, he looked good. Definitely looked much
Look pretty
better
good,
than
yeah.
yeah, much better than he's been looking at for sure.
I liked in the match when he pulled the straps down on his bodysuit or whatever it is. Excuse me. And like I almost feel like, dude, just go out there with no shirt, just get
Exactly.
some nice pants, to wear. Maybe just cut that whole shirt thing off and use the pants.
Yep.
I
Yep.
think it'd look better personally.
But yeah, it was a good match, good brawl to start things off. It definitely felt like, what we knew it was going to be. We knew it was going to be, very hard hitting. A lot of leeway from that referee. Um, they were brawling past the barricade and Moxley
Hmm.
getting sent to the board. Uh, and Moxley came back in when they were back to the ring with the steel steps. Uh, I liked the I liked the way, Lee definitely showed that is he's lived up to being a very good competitor who can be in a title match. Uh,
Right. I
the more
agree.
that I saw of him, definitely, yeah, I know. I was thinking last week that maybe they would give him the belt, and it does feel like it's a good thing they probably didn't yet. But they still allowed him to look strong because he didn't get pinned. He didn't
Right.
submit. He
Right.
just
That's in my notes as well.
yeah,
He I think the two of them put on a great match, like a solid match. When I say great, I'm not meaning like 7, 6 stars, whatever it is now. But they put on a good, solid match. They did what they did, what those guys do. It was a good tech. I don't know if you want to say technical brawl. I guess you could say technical brawl. You know, they were both solids. It's what you expect from them two guys. Hard hitting, just a hard hitting brawl. Um, and like you said, the finish was more of an MMA finish. It was, at first, like for like a split second, I was like, he just rang the bell. He didn't even fucking do the three arm
That
drop.
yeah, that was a little odd, but yeah.
But I kind of thought about it. I was like, wait a minute. Mox trains MMA a lot. He's in Extreme Couture in Las Vegas. He trains there a lot. He's just in that MMA movie. So him choking him out with the rear naked choke, and the ref kind of doing like the whole, oh, he's out, like stop the fight. You know what I'm saying? So it was more like an MMA stoppage than an old school wrestling sleeper stoppage. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Which was cool. Which was like as it really kicked into my brain there, I was like, oh, that works perfect. And
Yeah.
like you said, Brody's still strong.
He still looks strong.
He
Exactly.
still looks strong. You know, he got choked out. He didn't get pinned. He didn't get beat up. He got caught in a rear naked choke, put out.
Yep.
So
And he was
I
bleeding
thought
from
it
the
was
head. He was still
right.
looking tough. So yeah,
How'd you feel about the stage spot? I mean,
I liked it. I mean,
I didn't hate it, but I was
I
like, I thought maybe as like they went through, it looked like at the trajectory, like the back of Mox's head could have easily smashed something under there. But I'm hoping they didn't have anything beyond,
exactly. Hopefully, there
you
was
know,
enough clearance that wasn't going to be
right.
a
Hopefully there
danger.
were no beams under that part of the
Exactly.
stage
Exactly.
or whatever.
That would have
I mean, he
sucked.
came out, so I guess not. You know,
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
came out uninjured, so.
Yeah. So
But
yeah, I liked it. I did also. I love the sequence where Moxley threw the poker chip at Lee.
yeah, I like the ending sequence before he choked him out
Yeah.
with the ultra, like he just fucking went on a tornado like wild storm attack. Bong bong bong. He just
Yeah.
kept
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, and he just was laying it in and the knee, and then he went for the finish, and I thought that was good, man. It worked out well. I mean, it really did. I thought Mox was gonna retain. Obviously, that was my pick last week because
Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah.
because he's I mean, he hasn't had the run. He was been in Vegas throughout the quarantine, so he really hasn't had the run. And I think
Yeah.
now he's got a chance to go on his run with the title.
Yep.
Uh, Anything else you got on that match? Because I wanted to talk about the
No.
commercial.
Yeah.
Okay. Toy commercial, AEW wrestling figures. Now, me and you, we're toy nerds. We are geeks to the fullest. We're into toys. I collect the WWE Mattel
Elite.
figures.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Elite figures, but I collect only like certain characters from
Same.
back in the day that I like. And um, so now with the AEW figures, I can't wait for them, man. I already got the Bubbly kit on order. I ordered the ring with Kenny Omega. Um, so I love the commercial. I love that they threw that in there. I will be getting the rest of the figures as well, but I'm really hoping that those pre-productions aren't what we get on the production run because, man, that Phoenix, his neck looked like he was a fucking, it looked like his neck was about 5 feet tall.
Yeah, until we get these in hand, it's going to be hard to say how close they were to the production shots.
Yeah.
I mean, the one that I am looking forward to the most, the one that I definitely have on order, is the Bubbly set. I love the way it's in a bottle. I love that. That's
Yeah.
fantastic, and I want to just buy that just simply because of the fact that I felt it was very unique. I like the way you can make the spread and everything. So it's so funny though, with how fast things move. By the time these things actually come out, that's such an old story now. With Jericho getting the championship with the with the spread and everything, it's like it's so old, but it'll be fun.
Yeah. Well, it's the whole bubbly thing, so that's still
Yeah.
they still kind of keep the bubbly prevalent.
Yeah.
I will just move into the inner circle and the elite.
Yeah, I wouldn't have necessarily called this, now the term now that's being used is cinematic style match. It's something that WWE certainly has been doing a lot of, and this was a cinema style match. But it worked really, really well. I enjoyed this a lot. I did feel I was kind of laughing at the beginning where you've got, with Adam Page entering on the horse. and chasing Sammy Guevara down, I almost felt like I was watching medieval times. Like, I
Yeah,
almost thought there was gonna be maybe another horse was coming on the other side.
I thought he might actually catch him, but it's kind of like you don't want to risk it because horses are they're big animals, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a little longer than I thought it was going to be, but I guess you kind of have to make it long because well, you're
right.
doing this within a football stadium. They definitely want to do what I had mentioned, last week. They certainly want to show you different parts of the stadium. So obviously they had things going on in the ball field itself. They had things going on inside the stadium by the concession areas, in the bar, uh, going to the replay room. It's like they milked this for what it was worth.
Yeah, definitely.
And it
Um,
was probably the most unique kind of thing I've ever seen in wrestling.
yeah, I thought they did it well. It was pre-taped, so apparently they worked all night doing it,
Yep.
and just so they didn't have dead air. They were saying was which was perfect. Perfectly works out. Excuse me. One thing I did note was Sammy, man. He almost died on the shooting star outside the ring.
Jeez,
It looked
yeah,
like he
that
just
was.
like split all the guys. They were all there, but he just like landed right where nobody was.
Yup.
They caught him at the last second, but that was
That
a
could have been
dangerous shot,
disastrous.
man.
Yes, that could
It's
have
like,
easily been
hey,
disastrous.
yeah. Um, some spots that like one of my favorite spots was this pool spot with Ortiz. He's like, Santana's like, get in. He's like, I can't swim, man. I can't swim.
Yeah.
And he's standing waist deep in water, and he's going, I can't swim. I popped for that. Then the Hardy underwater, he's like giving the sign, he's doing his Hardy signs,
The
and
Hardy thing was a little silly. I
yeah,
liked the
yeah,
way they kept harkening back to different characters he's had throughout the years. That was great.
yeah,
I like the idea of it. The execution of it was a little much. The fact that there's a camera underwater with him with the thumbs up. Yeah, there's a cameraman
yeah,
just saying underwater. And then it was kind of weird where at the end they're just like, yeah, we killed him. We drowned him. It's like, what the
yeah.
fuck?
He taped him up. He taped him up to the fucking to the chair.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So,
What's his name? Did they power bomb Kenny through the barricade
yep,
on the two tables up there? That was pretty solid.
yep.
I was like, yeah, he might go through that the wrong way, and it kind of folded up perfectly where it looked like he was fine.
Yeah.
Um, then Jericho he hit him with the yard marker, and he goes, that'll move the chains.
Yes. Yes.
couldn't get I couldn't fucking some really good stuff.
Yeah.
And then went like at the bar, like where he ran, where Hager and him took the shots or whatever,
That was
and
funny.
then Hager, like, they brawl out, and Hager runs him across the bar, like the old movie style.
Yes,
He
exactly.
at the end he came off solid too. He like hit the table, rolled.
Yep. Yep.
It wasn't just like at the end and stopped.
Yeah.
Um,
No, it was done well, and you can really tell. I mean, that's the thing. I kind of like these pre-taped cinematic style matches because you're not really going to see too many botches. You're going to see it's going to feel very clean. It's going to feel like you're watching a mini movie, and that's just felt like to me. This felt like a bit of a mini movie.
yeah,
Uh, it was fun. I love the end where Jericho's getting run over with the white line that you put on the field. That felt very Tom and Jerry. It felt
yes,
very
yes,
very
yeah.
cartoony.
That's a good way to put it, Tom and Jerry, right?
It was just like Tom and Jerry.
Yeah,
But
that was
the
fun.
I mean the closing of it though was just perfect, man. That freaking one wing angel. I almost got air sick when I saw it. Like I legit felt
Yeah,
my stomach. Like you ever all right, I've been doing this a lot more than you, obviously, recently, but I go to Disneyland, I go on Tower of Terror, and you're on Tower of Terror and you drop and you feel your stomach drop. I kind of felt like I had a bit of an optical illusion when I saw that move and the way they filmed it. I felt my
right.
stomach drop. Like I felt like that was just the way they filmed it was really you felt like you were feeling that move happening.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
again, that is the kind of thing you're only going to get an experience like that in a cinematic style filled match like this. But for
It was clear. It was clear that they had the padding, but it wasn't. It wasn't bad. It wasn't in a bad sense.
exactly.
You know.
But yeah, there
Yeah,
was so much
that
happening.
height. Whew.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was
but
probably the best way to end it, I think. Like if
yeah,
when you have something like this that's so chaotic and there's so many different ways to do different spots, how do you really end something like this? I felt like that was a
yeah.
nice way to end the match.
Poor Sammy was like he was getting chased all
Oh
match. Then he
yeah,
goes up,
Jesus.
he run he. That's when they first got to that segment when they're going into the stands and he jumps up and I think it was Ross was like he hit the Lambo leap,
Yeah.
and he he goes into the stands and uh, but that one winged angel was solid, man. That was a good one and they both landed beautifully and that height was fun. It was fun.
Yeah, it was good.
Um, the other thing was with Tony Schiavone when he goes that Alex Wright celebration deserves a penalty. I can't remember who was dancing, but he said that the Alex Wright good callback. That deserves a penalty.
Oh, I'll tell you what I did
And
think was silly. Neo won.
yeah, is
Ah,
that what it's called?
yeah,
Neo?
Neo won because Brother Nero. Jeff Hardy was Brother Nero in TNA to Matt Hardy's character, and so that's what I think. I think they named it after Brother Nero. So it's Nero 1 is like the new fuck. I keep calling it a droid. It's you know what it is, but
Yeah.
uh
Was it Neo or Nero?
uh
I thought it was Neo.
Brother Nero. Wait, shit. Yeah, Brother Nero, but you're right, it was Neo. Yeah, it didn't have the R in it. Shit. So I don't know. Is that supposed to be Matrix influence or what? What was that about?
Who knows?
It was silly.
We'll find out.
Yeah. I kind of feel like after what happened in Vanguard 1, that should have been it for the flying drone. That's what it's not droid. The drones.
Drone, yeah.
I feel like that should have been it for drones. Like, oh no, we have another drone now. It's like, oh god.
The end was great with the Gatorade bath.
Yes.
That's a good way to cap it off.
It felt
really
like a football game. It really did.
Yeah,
it was
it
great.
really was.
Yeah.
I was hoping they were going to catch up to Sammy in the cart and roll him over again, but it worked out because then they went up into the stands, did the one winged angel.
Yeah.
From God knows what was that, like 25 feet, 20 feet?
That was at least 20, 25 feet. That was a freaking drop. That was nuts.
That was a fun match all around.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying about the hokey shit and the goofy shit. Orange Cassidy and that kind of works. That works because it's such a big encompassing match that there's so many different things. And they could kind of get away with it for a little bit, but it wasn't. A lot of it was over the top, but in a good way, I felt.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing too, though. I think for something like this, it's kind of hard not to go over the top. So far, ever since this whole pandemic has happened, I mean, yeah, this is like the first, I guess, cinematic style match for AEW. I've seen a few already for WWE, and it is hard not to make it have an over-the-top Hollywood kind of feel, because otherwise, if you try to just bring it down to the level of just like a wrestling match, it's very hard to do that when you're in a unique environment like this. And they kind of got their money's worth for the fact that they were having this take place inside of a football stadium. So
100%.
It was well done. I did have very interesting when they had some of the shots from the ring with the big green field in the background.
Mm-hmm.
That was Shea Stadium 1980, Hogan and Andre the Giant.
Yeah, no, you're right.
I don't remember ever seeing that before. Like you would have things in a baseball stadium, but they would block out the grass and it would still feel like it's an arena. They did that recently in Seattle. But
Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
In WWC, they had the stadium matches at the baseball stadiums.
And did they keep the grass?
You could see a lot of the grass. I think as there was some seating and shit down there. It's been a while since I watched some videos, but
it was a nice visual. Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
They didn't really use the ring much. I thought they used it a little more, but they did for like a hot second, and they were like,
yeah, down. I was going to say that didn't surprise me because the fact that they knew they were going to have to go all throughout the football stadium, I kind of felt like the ring was going to be an afterthought.
Yeah.
So
I've seen some people say, it was long. It's like you expect it to be long.
Well,
anything less.
Yeah, because you don't really, you have a lot of ground to cover.
100%.
It's not like, okay, they had a match in the Performance Center with Randy Orton and Edge, and that felt long. And they didn't have as much ground to cover. They were fine throughout the Performance Center, but just felt very sluggish and very long. This was long, but at least it did not, like, it wasn't boring. It never felt to the point where you were looking at your watch because you were always wondering where are they going to end up next.
Right.
And so, yeah, it was a little long, but I don't think you could have had a match like this be short or any shorter than it was. I actually felt like it was the perfect amount of time.
Yeah, it was. I mean, what was it? Under an hour, right?
It was under an hour. I think it was around maybe 40 minutes. I think I remember because I remember looking at the timer when we were going to start the match. I was curious as to how deep we were into the show. And unless I was mistaken, I think there were about 40 minutes left, maybe 43 minutes left. So, yeah, I mean, I've seen that length matches for basic matches in a ring in WWE where you feel like, all right, this feels pretty long. I don't know. For a football stadium match, though, was fine.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. Wasn't bad at all.
So, yeah, overall, loved it. I mean, great pay-per-view.
Yeah, pay-per-view was good. I thought the go-home show was a little meh. Wasn't really anything to write home about.
No.
But I felt like the pay-per-view was if you want to give it a star rating, I'd say 4 out of 5.
I'll also go with 4 out of 5. Yeah, it was
5 is hard in anything, so I give it a 4-star.
And I was entertained. There weren't really many points where I just felt like it was slow or sluggish, or I felt like I watched Tito skip through anything. It's like, no, right. This was all, everything had something to offer. It was entertaining from start to finish.
Yeah, I felt the same way. It wasn't anything I was like, I could do without this,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, long show overall, but there were a lot of matches to get through.
Yep. I'm looking. Well, I mean, what was it? Yeah, I mean, it was about 3.5 hours.
About 3.5 hours.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to Wednesday, seeing what they pull out of the hat. Post pay-per-view.
Yep.
They've done well in the past with those, so very curious. Especially with Mike Tyson being there. What can they do with him now? What are they going to do with the title? The TNT title.
Yeah, I almost feel like they're going to look back. They're going to look over the tape. They're going to find him yawning, and they're going to just realize the heat really offers. They're probably going to be like, do we really want to bring him out again?
Yeah.
I mean, he's paid, I'm sure, already, so it's like there's nothing they could do, but...
I think that's all just money, man. I just think that's money making, So...
Yeah.
We'll see. Did you have any sporadic AEW shit you wanted to get off your chest?
No, I think we covered
it. You've been hearing or reading about that maybe you have opinions on, or?
I haven't seen anything recently outside of the fallout from this. I mean, there is the upcoming show in September that I am curious as to where that's going to take place. It sounds like they aren't really sure where it's going to take place yet. And, I mean, that's the biggest thing I'm curious about now. So what happens between there, I guess, is the question. Because that show, I think they said September, right? I mean, we're about to go into June. That's a lot of time. That's like a lot of time. Dead air time in between events, where you do have to wonder, well, what are they going to be doing in the middle to build up to anything?
They got a lot of time to build, so that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Flesh out some shit, see who's what. Hopefully soon we'll see some more debuts, and I don't know. I keep seeing people talk about some of these wrestlers that got released by WWE. They keep talking about, will they pop up on the pay-per-view? But I'm thinking, like, weren't most of them 90-day?
Most of them were. Exactly. That's the thing. You're not going to... Any of the guys...
That's why I didn't understand why people were saying that.
Yeah, I mean, any of the guys who are on 90-day, and I think the majority of the folks who were released are on the 90-day clauses. So, yeah, you're not going to see anybody yet. I think the Revival is who people thought they were going to see right off the bat.
See tonight, yeah.
Yeah, Revival is able to come on whenever they need to now. Maybe they just felt like that this was a full enough show that putting them in there would be a little bit it would be overdoing it. So I wouldn't be surprised, I guess, if you do see Revival on Wednesday.
I was just going to say, they could easily bring Revival in to attack the Bucks.
Sure.
While the Bucks are out there doing something about how they won or whatever.
Sure.
So I was just about to say the same thing. Like, that could be or they could just save it, let them get some time off and go from there.
Yep. Yep.
I mean,
Exactly.
hopefully they come to AEW. They might not even come to AEW, but you almost feel like it's a foregone conclusion, almost like Cage.
Yeah, they want to perform. They definitely have a lot left in the tank. They want to be where they want to be in the business. They're not going to go to Impact. It has to be AEW. It's just a matter of when. It's not even a matter of if, in my mind.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. It's just a matter of where are we going to see them.
Right.
And so,
Eddie, the 90 days is up sometime in July. I don't know the exact date.
yeah,
I believe it's mid-July, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, because the layoffs, the furloughs, whatever they were, took place it was around mid-April. So yeah, I think you're looking at around mid-July is when the 90 days are officially up. So there's definitely going to be time to bring people in after that to then build up to the September show, if they
100%.
choose to do so.
And they might do that. They might just build certain scenarios and then leave some space for possible things on the pay-per-view that anyone who comes in.
Exactly.
Cardona, boo. So just want to say thank you to everybody. We want this to be, again, I'll keep repeating this. We want this to be interactive, where instead of just us talking like we have been for the early shows. I mean, we have a certain amount of people that watch us, not a ton. So the more we get, the more people we want to just bring on and as guests. And when I say guests, I mean you. Like, if you're listening, we want you on. Like, join our Skype chat. The link's in the description. We want you on. We want you to come on, give your opinion on certain stuff, give your thoughts on the shows and the pay-per-views and something you've heard or something you've been feeling about AEW. So just please come on with us. Get on our social media on Facebook. Send us email questions, that we could bring up on the show. Check our website. You can follow us on podcast apps. And that's it, man. Getting the live YouTube chats, all that stuff. We just want to make this more interactive.
Yeah.
It's not really just for us to banter back and forth. While we'll definitely be doing that, we want to make it more interactive. I mean, interaction is what makes it fun. Getting different opinions and different views and different looks and stuff like that. That's the fun part of doing this. My opinion's my opinion. I'd like to bounce other people's opinions off of mine and maybe hash it out or argue or fight.
Yeah.
Or agree. What do you think?
Absolutely. I agree. Yep.
More
interaction, the better.
What are you doing, Alan? You paying attention here?
I am. I was listening to you talk. I didn't want to interrupt you.
I talk too much. You got to interrupt.
We got to get Eddie on here. Eddie keeps interacting with us, so we got to get Eddie in here to actually, join us live. So, yeah.
Eddie, get in a Skype chat, and you're going to need headphones and nobody around you, okay? Preferably on a laptop or a computer, not a phone.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this definitely does not work very well on a phone.
But, yeah, I mean, come on, man. Come on anytime you want, Eddie, and we'll see everybody later. Thank you again.
Yep.
Join the Skype chat. Check everything out. Check out the links in the description. And until next week, we will talk to you then.
Yep.
Peace.